everybody. Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Thursday, April the 6th, race number 8 at Aqueduct, New York bred maiden special weights. These are fillies and mares going 3/4 of a mile. Let's take a look at this field. Please scan or click the QR code for Race of the Day access on mobile, including free formulator past performances. A few first-time starters in this race. The one they're going to have to beat is the number 5, Dancer d'Oro, 5-2 on our colleague David Aragona's official NYRA morning line. This horse returned off a lengthy layoff last time out, ran an okay second as the favorite, and she earned a solid figure.
Yeah, it ran okay last time. Did catch a sloppy track there. It was her first start after being away for a while. It just got wired by a horse who was actually pretty sharp in winning that day. She ran fine in there, Dan, and certainly eligible to take a step forward.
Trainer Mitch Friedman has a coupled entry in here. We'll start with the number 1, breaking from post position 2. That is Dream On Cara, who earned a runner-up placing last time out in her first start with Lasix. Sort of prompted the pace 3 wide. She made a bid after the winner and was right there at the 3/16 pole, but she was rebuffed pretty handily and was getting tired late. After 8 starts, it's fair to wonder how much upside potential is there, but she's also a bit dirtied up by being in some tough stakes races and wet tracks.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think you want to just look at her and say, yeah, she's 0 for 8 already. How many more chances do you give her? The first 3 starts were all on turf. The 3 starts when they finally switched her over to dirt last year were all in stakes races that she really couldn't possibly win. So maiden special weights on the dirt. She's 0 for 2. Both of those races, she hit the board. You know, she didn't run great either time, I didn't think, but she didn't run terribly either. Now they're going to cut her all the way back to 6. I wonder if that helps her a little bit, Dan. I mean, she has the pedigree to go longer, but she really doesn't finish strong in her races going longer. I wonder if the shorter distance is better for her.
Her entry mate, the number 1A, Foxy Cara, is a first-time starter, a $55,000 buyback as a weanling, a $50,000 yearling, and a horse that sold for $135,000 as an April 2-year-old. Now, Mastery, the stallion, is below average with first-time starters, only 6%, but the Dam was a stakes-place dirt sprinter, and this filly is a half to a stakes-place dirt sprinter, so there's some pedigree, and she sold pretty well.
Yeah, she did. And she breezed before they went for 135 for her last April. She breezed 10-1. Thought she looked pretty good breezing that day too, Dan. You know, it's unfortunate that she's part of an entry in here because that only hurts your price on a horse who really on her own could get overlooked in this race. Seems to be training well up to this. You've already pointed out she has plenty of pedigree to back her up. There are things to like here. I just don't know if you want to take a short price as part of an entry.
The number 2, Red Jasmine, was dismissed at a big price for her career debut against maiden claimers. She showed fine speed in that race, and that pace looked legitimate before she understandably tired. She finished ahead of a horse that came back to graduate against New York-bred $25,000 claimers with a 53 buyer. Stepping up in class, not the easiest thing to do second time out, but I expect good speed.
Yeah, I think she'll show speed again from the rail. I thought she did show good speed in that race. It's interesting because the horse that she was sort of contesting the pace with was also a first-time starter at a really big price in there. She couldn't get by that horse. That horse wound up finishing 4th, I think. This horse faded to 6th. I'll just say this about her. I think it's hard to like her in this race, Dan, but all, state-bred maiden 40s, they're not, all the same. She was in one of the tougher ones, the race she debuted, and that was not a super weak field.
The number 3 is Sweetie, a first-time starter, and we'll see if patience pays off for these connections because she is a 5-year-old first-time starter who sold for $7,000 as a yearling way back when. She's got a little bit of pedigree, even though her sire, FNX, does not do well. I don't think he's sired a debut winner yet. This Dam was a debut winner, a stakes-winning dirt sprinter, so there is some pedigree, but 5-year-old first-time starters that have been working for seemingly forever, I want to take a wait-and-see approach.
Yeah, I won't have anything really to add to that. I looked at her the exact same way. There is a little pedigree on the Dam side, but not a real precocious sire here, Dan. It's taken her forever to get going. Siaka is not a guy that has, tons of success with first-time starters. I'll watch this one.
Blinkers on for the 4, Shaman Princess, who ran well in her career debut for a tag, then finished behind our morning line favorite, Dancer d'Oro, last time out in a maiden special. Maybe didn't care for the muddy track that day. She does have good tactical speed. She's going to get blinkers on for Rudy Rod.
Yeah, we'll see how much she can improve, Dan. Just maybe the wet track is enough of an excuse last time. She just did some chasing from the rail and just never really came close, kept losing ground, and managed to last for 3rd at the end. She ran fine also in her debut for maiden 40, but I didn't really see her excuse not to win that day.
The 5, Dancer Dioro, faced 2 stakes class fillies in her races in New York as a 2-year-old. She ran into Andiamo a Firenze. She ran into Miracle. Then she went on the layoff. She came back as the favorite in a state-bred maiden. She showed decent speed. She was on a hard chase, and she finished second best. She ran fine in that race. It was over a wet track. It was her first start off a long layoff. If she gains fitness off that race and moves forward, she's going to be tough.
Yeah, I guess that's how you have to look at it. If you want to bet her in here, she's probably going to be the favorite in this race. And she did just lose as the favorite in her most recent start. But again, it was a sloppy track. It was a long layoff. The winner got to the lead pretty easily. And there was just a really sharp winner. Never really gave this filly a chance to catch her. And all in all, I just kind of felt like she ran okay in that spot. Just chased, never really quit through the stretch. She was just no match for the winner and was clearly second best at the end. She showed enough, at least in her first start as a 2-year-old when they entered her against Colts at Belmont on that sloppy track, showed enough that day to suggest that she just might be too good for these horses.
One of the more interesting entrants is the number 6, Ronchata, making her first start for the red-hot Linda Rice barn. This horse made her career debut against Open Company at the Fairgrounds. Not only did she face 2 next-out winners that day, but the 6th-place horse came back to run second in an Oaklawn maiden with an 81 buyer, then graduated there with a 72. So it appears she faced a pretty good field. Note that she was listed as a vet scratch on March 11th. It took her about 3.5 weeks to get back in the entries.
Yeah, exactly. I think she was entered in that Dancer d'Oro Shaman Princess race. She was listed as a vet scratch that day. So now she's going to turn up here. Listen, she's just a wild card, Dan. I guess I could go either way on her. I'll be very interested to see how they wind up betting her in this race, because while you feel like you don't want to hold the debut against her in an open maiden special weight at the Fairgrounds where she didn't break well and it didn't have any speed. She also didn't do any running in that race. So who knows how good this horse is. And then you have to ask yourself what kind of price you'd want to take on her.
The horse that might be working the fastest of the first-time starters is the 7, Midnight Confession. This is a daughter of the average debut sire, Unified, 10% winners. She's a half-sister to Betsy Blue, who's a multiple stakes winning sprinter. The Dam was a stakes place dirt sprinter. So there is speed in this family. Carlos Martin can get a first-time starter to win.
Yeah, I agree with all those things. I thought she was the most interesting of the newcomers, along with the part of the entry. Also, I thought that horse was interesting as well. There's just enough to like about this horse to be interested in it, and it feels like she won't get overbet in here, Dan. I thought that was, maybe even more important, because I hate taking short prices on first-time starters. The only little concern that I had with her is there's that gap in her tab there. It looks like she missed a month there between February and March, so we'll see if that has any effect on it.
The number 8 is Splashy, and this horse is somewhat interesting. She only raced once as a 2-year-old. She gave an even performance for the great Christophe Clement. Now she's returning off the layoff, and she's getting Lasix for the first time. Manny Franco retains the mount. Good outside attack post position.
Yeah, I mean, all those things are true. I mean, I don't know. She's another one I would just wait and see what kind of price you get on her. More than anything else, Dan, it's not like her debut was a disaster, but she really didn't do anything in that race. And this is, a horse who took a little money for a trainer who's great with first-time starters. I mean, I don't think you can really give her the excuse, well, maybe she needed one. Come on. He tends to have these horses ready. She didn't really do much running.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click that subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for our Thursday race of the day, the 8th at Aqueduct. Mike, you're going with Dancer d'Oro. She's simply the horse to beat. She's probably going to work out a trip close to the pace, if not outright going to the front.
Yeah, I'd like to see them use her speed in here, Dan. I'll be honest with that. I can't say that I love her, but I didn't really love anyone in this race. And the more I looked at it, the more I just felt like she ran fine off the layoff last time. I don't think you're supposed to look at her and say she's better on a wet track. I'll make her prove that going forward. I think she's going to be fine on fast dirt. And if she runs back to her debut, I think this is a race she can win.
I think the 7 Midnight Confession is a really nice combination of pedigree, fast workouts, and connections. And I think if she goes off at 9-2 or 5-1, I would want to take a chance, as some of these other fillies still have something to prove. 5-7-6-1-8 for Mike, 7-1-5-4 for me. For the Thursday DRF race of the day, the 8th at the Big A, good luck.